right? They put a camera up there, a colonoscopy or an endoscopy coming down from the top. All right, guess where the problem is? You can have things on the wall. You can have herniations called diverticulums and stuff like that. But guess where the problem is? This wall. In this wall. In the of the tube. And what makes up the wall? GI tract, small and large, not just the large, small and large. And where you have cells, you have spaces around them, and guess what's in those spaces? So through iridology, you can see how much lymphatic stagnation you have gut wall, and that determines how much absorption or malabsorption you have and how much inflammation is involved, whether you have IBS, whether you have Crohn's, what ulcerations, what level, because you're burning from the ins, like types of ulcerations in the gut, you're actually burning from the inside out. It's something else. When you learn the lymphatic system, you're going, oh my God, that's it. That's it. That's it. Stagnation of acids. Ask a medical doctor about acidosis, they don't understand it because they look at blood again. And for the blood can't be acidic, so how can you have acidosis?
And they don't even look at a picture of the blood, like the individual cells. They go by these different, the CBD or CBC.
So they don't look at parasites.
Complete, I forget what it's called even. I've been out of it so long.
Live blood cell analysis. Dark screen
That's
live
what I'm
blood
talking
cell
about.
analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody does that. I mean,
I used to do it.
Unless it's a naturopath.
We did it in our clinic years ago, but you know what? It's so hard for you to get your health back. If you're in a wheelchair, you might be a little longer getting it back. And quads up and walking at 6 months. But you're looking at probably here. A lady up on video. She was a Lou Gehrig's case. She couldn't talk. She was a singer. She couldn't talk. She was modeled quite a bit. Of course, wheelchair bound. 5.5 walking, singing, and pushing her stroller. But that's what you get on.
Wow.
You can't attain those levels on vegetables. I've never been able to do that. But I use herbs. I love botanicals. Stores way back in the 70s. And of course, supplements and all that. But this voice kept saying to me, look at what I created. And so pretty soon, herbs. And I'm going, herbs. Herbs. And then I realized into holistic thinking, and of course botanicals are holistic. They come with they come with the same mind and emotion. They do the same chain coming to this level of, and so that's why you have emotional issues with plants. Plants have you read The Secret Plants by Christopher Bird and Tom Tompkins, show you how much memory a plant has.
Yes, one of the things that happened is our YouTube was shut off. I don't know why it was shut off, but I just turned it back on. So now we may get some questions, hopefully, from the listening audience. We are having not the best connection, I've noticed, but that's a problem.
Old country boy. I'm about out in the.
You're way out in the country. I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. If I could be, that's where I would be. But anyway, you use and have a number of herbs that you offer to people, including ones that help to detox and so on.
If you think differently, a lot of people associate. It's got lost in this concept of diseases. This theory that's about diseases. So they're thinking everything is in relationship to disease. That's so untrue because, again, it is a flawed theory. There's no such thing as diseases. An effect. There's for every effect you see, no matter if it's inflammation, the breakdown of your what it is, there's a chemical cause for that. And once you understand that you control that chemical cause and you can and fix all this, then it becomes a big aha moment for you. I've been healing people from all types of things for 50 years now, and so.
Yes, and you have you have YouTube videos that address specific problems for people and
specific tissues. Yeah. In other words, think of herbs like there's an herb for your kidneys, there's an herb for your lot of great herbs for your liver and gallbladder. Those herbs are also, though there are pancreatic herbs. There's herbs to clean the lungs. There's herbs for everything. There's herbs for the lymphatic system. They're not diseases. They're to enhance the function. So every cell in your body is a genetic cell. Going like this. How do you wake them up? Right? And that's energy and consciousness, or you use a glandular. But that's how you wake things. You introduce them to who they really are. The same thing as spiritual awakening. You do your cells through the foods, because by introducing them to living live food, you're into a high level of consciousness, introducing them to like a master.
One of the things that I've been looking for is some type of chart that shows the Hertz value of different foods, especially living foods. Like dead animal cells are dead. You don't get any voltage from them, correct?
That's true. Meat a lot, of course, is beaming with energy. But look at, and meat particularly goes down to broccoli and some of the vegetables down to about 1,000 to 1,500 units of energy, or 2,000, but where they are. Well, if you understand the law of homeostasis, all balance, and you take a wheel and you spin it here at 100 miles an hour, and you take a wheel here and spin it, you put them together, they will end up going the same speed, probably about 65 cents. Another example is you take and pour it into the ocean, water, and pour it into the ocean. Do you raise the whole ocean? You just raise the water right where you raise the whole ocean. Infinitesimal, though, you can't figure it out, but you raise the ocean. Everything seeks a homeostasis, and this is true in electromagnetic. And if you're complaining of having tired and no energy, of course, we can take transmitters and things like that, but go to your diet and realize when you cook, you destroy, you bond, you lock, you change the chemical nature, you lose the electricity. So you don't get any energy. So what it's doing is sucking your out of you. And if you're a spiritual person where you can bring that energy back into you, you start getting depressed and backbiting, gossiping, and all the other things, complaining about everything, and da-da-da-da-da.
Wow. Okay. Every once in a while we have
I'm bad.
You cut out a little bit sometimes, unfortunately.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Are you on Wi-Fi, or are you on a line, fiber optic line?
Not.
Okay.
I've got Comcast, and Comcast down here is about the worst. So I'm just stuck that way right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. We're doing the best we can with what we got then.
Yeah. Zoom, I don't have any problem with Zoom, but anything else, we have that. Even Skype, a little bit of cutting in and out. You're cutting in and out on me.
Oh, really?
I know.
Yeah.
We have serious problems here that way.
Wow. Okay. Well, my connection says that it's good, and you only have 2 little bars. That's part of the problem.
I'm sure.
I see anyway. But anyway, it doesn't matter what the problem is. It's just an issue that we have to deal with. But I think one of the things that I'd like to tell the audience again now, because we are on YouTube now and we are on Facebook, so it wouldn't hurt if we repeated some of the things we have already said. But
well, that's okay. We'll cover it back.
Okay. And I want people to know that if they go to some of the links that the Dot Connector has put in the chat for you for Dr. Morris's site, you will find that many of the things that we've put up on the screen, you are available from him on his site for free. Okay. So it's important to know that. So we're going to go back to a couple of them because more people are on now. And let's look at this particular one again. And here we go. This is, because you were emphasizing the significance of the kidneys, and aren't the adrenal glands right above the kidneys too?
Mm-hmm.
And people get adrenal burnout, probably because they're overworking everything in the body, trying to keep the acid, or trying to bring the acid down to an acceptable bodily level.
Yeah, you're talking about in the adrenal glands, you're talking See, so in the metabolism of sugars, the adrenal glands plays a major role in mineral. And so even telling you're going to find a connection through the, but when you're looking at the differences, as we were talking about, simple sugars, polys or complex sugars, a little difference, but carbon is still a component to the human experience. And if you don't have it, you are not going to be a happy person. You cannot avoid sugar. Sugar is the number one constituent in all life in mother's milk and in the foods. And so acid structures are the least. And so we have to just learn this protein pushing and everything is necroticized. We talked about how to necroticize the cows and stuff, just the baby formulas that are protein formulas. Man has lost proteins. Well, the problem is it's decaying them. Protein decays kidneys, decays your bowels. You know, it's acid ash foods. And we were talking about acid ash foods versus alkaline foods. The difference between foods that are corrosive and inflammatory versus foods that go on hydrating, dehydrate. Well, your meats, your beans, any dehydrators, anything cooked, you know, anytime you lose your electrolytes, getting into dehydration. But the lymphatic system is simply the body sewer system / main immune system. So you don't find the bulk of immunity in your blood at all. The bulk of immunity is in your lymphatic system. It's your lymphatic system that has to take a damaged cell, lymph node, if the pathway is open. The big thing is pathways are not open. That's how the cell gets damaged in the first place. Therefore, it sits in tissue. All that acid sitting in that tissue just damages all the cell around it. The medical doctors think the cell is influencing and damaging the other cells. They're idiots. That does not happen. This is acids damaging the cells, damage all the cells around tissue. Matter of fact, you'll notice that the highly acidic, they start losing their everything, particularly on one side. They can lose several factors on one side because the lymphatic is systemic. Blood is systemic, but it is also bilateral. You've got a right and a left side. You got a right kidney that drains the right brain, the right toe, and the left kidney drains the left toe and the left brain. So one kidney generally is a little weaker than the other one or not filtering, then that side going awry. And in iridology for years, I've seen one side over the other for the most part. But it's all based on that kidney on that side. And your eliminative organs along with your skin of the great lymphatic system. And that's metabolitic waste. And if you don't get rid of metabolitic acids, which are about 3 pH, as we talked about earlier, they'll sit there and cause inflammation. And it's just your body trying to get into there and get this out. Well, your kidneys are players, and if you don't filter, then there's no way you can get them out. You start getting tumors, you got to start getting cysts, things like that building up inside or on top. Polyps, too, you know, all these things, the thyroid, that's all lymphatic.
Well, I guess one of the things that I'd like to mention that you brought up before is the urine and looking at the urine, because that's a simple way for people to get a good idea. And
because when you pee in a jar, you want to see sediment. When I was living in my Volkswagen van in the woods for a couple of years, I would pee in a jar in a van. And so I would pee in a jar and set it up on my little sink thing. I get up in the morning and see this sediment. And I'm going, oh, wow, look what I got out. I didn't think that the kidneys didn't do that. So then when I became a physician, I got my biochemistry. I'm really into it. I'm looking, I love that. Like all these urinalyses are coming back clear. Clear urine, clear urine, clear urine. I'm going, what the heck? Clear urine? Your urine can't be clear. And then it dawned on me what the problem was.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And people need to be aware of that, because I think a lot of people, you know, like you said, that they have clear urine and probably think that's normal.
Oh, we do. I know. And medical doctors think if you have in your urine, you got an infection. I can't tell you, recently killed a client of mine by thinking that. So when you look at a urine bag and it's got a lot of sewage, you nurses, you're going to see that when you have a real sick patient, you're going to see this white stuff. That's cellular waste. That's what you want to see. That's not infectious. That's what's out. That's what's causing all the problems. They don't get that. So they treat that. and they treat it with antibiotics. The problem in doing that is that you kill the bacteria in your lymph node. And once you do that, I'll give you an example. Go out, if you've got a house with a septic, go out and put some antibiotics into your septic tank and kill the bacteria in the septic tank and see what happens. Not going to be a pretty picture.
No, it's not. That's what they, yeah. That's
They're
what they used to clean it
essential.
off.
Exactly. In your lymph
wow.
nodes to break down these 3 pH cellular acids into 3P and 3 pH, you'll be on your knees. That's a UTI. You want 6 so you don't feel it so.
So the other thing that I think is important, what you said earlier, to repeat, if you don't mind, was the acid level of something like Gatorade, Pepsi, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
I've had people
Gatorade,
tell me that settles their
this
stomach, and I'm going, what?
Yeah, this comes from the Minnesota School of, and they found that Gatorade has a pH of 2.65 out the water. I knew it was acidic because every time I'd take some, it'd burn my stomach on a hydrator. What another big lie. Pepsi, Coke, they range from 0.95 to 3.05. I think Dr. Pepper maybe be a little better at 3.5. But realistically, these acids is how you get a cancer cell. 3 pH. Let's go to the stomach acid. Stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, pH, round figure. That's enough to break down cells and bones. Good night, honey. You're dealing in chemotherapy, which is 2 and below. I've seen chemotherapy. Who has the right to put chemo into your body? It literally destroys all the cells that come in contact. Have you ever seen a chemotherapy burn on the skin? It is just like someone throwing a vat of battery acid on your face. It'll destroy your skin. And when I was taking this IV therapy in nursing, I asked the nurse, the teacher there, I said, what's your skin made of? She said, cells. I said, well, then you want us to put it in the vascular. What's your vascular walls made of? And is that why you see the collapsing and why they go right into the aorta? And then I had administrative classes, a hospital administrator, and he asked me, do you know what the percentage of death is from aortic aneurysm from that? I said, I have no clue. And I forget what he told me, but it was pretty good. Remember, when you put an acid in, you're pulling calcium out.
Wow.
And there goes your connective tissue. And there goes herniations, aneurysms, there goes everything like that.
And then here's another factor to throw in there that I'm aware of. I had a show with Dr. Stephanie Seneff, and one of the things that she said about glyphosate is that it substitutes for glycine in the formation of a protein. So you're going to get a weak protein when that happens because it's not natural.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even get into those mind games because I tell you what, your body, looking it up, it will get rid of all inferior tissues, all inferior proteins. That's one of the problems, is that your body will start correcting itself, and you could lose sometimes if the body has to get rid of it. So if your focus is not so much chemistry, and you get your head out of that, and you go into more simplicity, be happier, healthier, and you won't be chasing glycolates and proteins. You're going to be looking at fruits, berries, and melons and how it feels and moves the lymphatic. You're not going to get into but I teach physiology, and I'll tell you what they don't understand, pH factors of interstitial fluid, pH factors of cytoplasm, all the pH factors, and they don't even look at any of this. That gets into cell wall permeability. It gets into anything you can imagine, and how chemistry rebonds itself differently. All that, you get lost, and that's what happened to our supplemental field. They got lost.
Oh, I was wondering what somebody means here.
Come back and simplify yourself and realize you can't figure out everything, and you don't need to. It's what the body's doing, an acid sky or an alkaline sky. And in an alkaline sky, and you're eating foods that you're designed to eat, your body will find its own homeostasis. It'll clean out everything. I've just seen it for 50 years. Has to do this. You can't sit there and figure out and you have to do this and this. Get yourself on the diet appropriate for the Homo sapien. And the Homo sapien is a frugivore. You put that chart up there. It's to demonstrate
let's put that back up.
Exactly. The human is a frugivore. Yeah, they're bioactive. Yeah, they're electrical. And yeah, they're going to clean the mucus out of you. They're going to your nervous system. So yeah, you could have some symptoms, but yeah, there you go. What
There we
teeth do
go.
we look like?
Yeah.
And that's true, like the hands, at the feet. It's true with heart. It's true with the intestinal walls, the length of the walls, the stomachs. We don't have any extra stomachs like herbivores. So why does a herbivore have? Some claim 7 and some 9.
Wow.
All right. So I mean, you look at grass and it's lettuce based, and you have a lot of cellulose, a lot of acids. But look at creatures that eat vegetables. We were farmers. We had cows. We raised or barrel trained them. So you've got animals that need big muscles. Sapien has smaller frames, smaller muscles, but can be very powerful in right food.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Here's a question for you. So when you discuss about mucus formation, especially with dairy products and so on, will the fruit eating decrease candida?
Moving your lymphatic system will. Candida, I'll talk about candida in a minute, because this and the fungal family is microbial family of nature, just like bacterium. They're only after fermentation. They deal with the carbon side of life, where bacteria deals more with the nitrogen side of life. We see them in excessive sugars when you mix protein and starches. You see it when you put a fruit on top of a vegetable, or a fruit on cereals, because the fruit, anything that ferments. So when you mix a starch and a protein, they don't mix at the same meal. They're totally opposite digestive enzymes. So they neutralize. You have fermentation and putrefaction. So now you have all this. I've said this before. Homo sapien is an alcoholic, but he eats. You can check someone's blood alcohol level after they eat, and you'll see it go right on up. And I have a lot of cases of death from diet, and a lot of cases that the FAA investigated an air crash in Colombia dealing with the 69 people and 14 crew members or something. Found it was a pilot's diet. His breakfast had something to do creating all this alcohol and plane into the mountainside. And that's all the FAA could come and look at some of these things. A man arrested in town here putting watermelon on top of his own. Went to Home Depot. A cop picked him up, put him in jail. Blood alcohol, above the age. He doesn't drink alcohol. But that watermelon turned into pure alcohol because you have fermentation. Well, guess what family helps you to ferment things? How do we make wine here? Right? Bread, right? We get our little helpers, and that's your function.
So what did he have? What did he eat with the watermelon?
Oatmeal. He put water on top of a bowl of oatmeal. And so your oatmeal is going to sit there forever and digest, and your watermelon's going on. Well, can't go on, so it sits there and ferments. So you get gas from these type of eatings, you get bloating from these type of eatings, and of course you get fermentation, which is, hey, come on in, fungus. We need help here to break all this apart. The essential issue.
That's
we have
amazing,
enzymes or microbes.
So that food combining is far more important than what people have been led to believe as well, is what I'm hearing you say.
Vital. If you look at most animals, they are mono. And when I went to mono eating, it was amazing. But again, you got to be able to handle it. But mono eating allows the body to take all the consciousness from that specific food. I used to push the rainbow diet, and things like that when full color spectrum, so we get all the nutrition. I was lost in that thinking. It's like, no, because then it confuses the mind. You have more entities in you. They're of the plant kingdom. They still have consciousness. You have all these different consciousness in you trying to digest and break everything in your individual self. So going in a mono diet, you feel so much better than eating your foods. I saw one female orangutan go from one fruit tree to another, put 2 fruits in front of her and start eating on them. I've never done that before. Every other creature I know of goes mono.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
That's wild.
Yeah, and we have 2 questions here from Emily. First question said, would I still benefit from the gallbladder formula if I don't have a gallbladder?
Example, a lot of people have heard of the liver gallbladder flushes. And when you do a liver gallbladder flush on someone that doesn't have a gallbladder, they'll still get out a lot of. So guess where those were? Yeah. So the liver is another area that clean out. So by going on an alkaline diet, though, remember things glomulate, things become stones. The acid sky, that acids are corrosive. They are what we call cationic. So they end up in a very dehydrated state. You'll see that once in a while when you drive by a lake that lost its in and it's out. It's just sitting there. That water's just sitting there. Then what grows on top of this water, this lake that's just sitting there with no in or out water? Palm scum, algae,
Wow.
fungus. And you see all of that as things are broken down. You will see that everywhere. Our field wraps up blue-green algae, Klamath Lake blue-green algae, and says, here's a health thing. Florida, we're having major toxic problems with blue-green algae.
Whoa, really?
Grabbing
my
for
gosh.
health treatment. Give me something that'll cure me. Give me something. That doesn't exist, guys. Does not exist. You can feel a little better, but after a go right back. You got to understand the lymph system, what its job is, what happens when acids are retained by the body in any location, and what you're going to experience, and how simple it is to get on the other side of chemistry and start eating a more hydrated electrical diet. Watch the magic.
The electric diet. That's what we need to come up with. Okay. The second question here was, what formula could I begin with to help restore my teeth?
All right, so let's take a look at this. When you start to teeth and receding gums, what side of chemistry are you on? You're on your acid side of chemistry. The pH papers and check your saliva. If you have an acid mouth, bicarbonate, start washing your mouth out a little bit with that, and then change your diet to a raw alkaline. Fruits, berries, melons, if you want vegetables, okay. And you should see that saliva turn alkaline, because as long as your saliva and mouth is acidic, you will continue to lose calcium. And your gums will continue to recede. The other just topical problem is internal. So in your gums and in your teeth are what? Blood, nerve, and lymph. They're the main three energy flows of the human body: blood, nerve, and lymph. And each gum has all of that in it everywhere. And so that when you swelling up the lymph system in the mouth, when you see the abscesses, that's when you see the receding gum, loss of enamel and everything else. And a lot of people are eating all this acid food. Pretty soon, even lemons can probably take your teeth off. So you have to be real careful about that sort of thing, about keeping your mouth alkaline. And your saliva and everything has systemic fluids as well.
Wow. So how would you keep your mouth alkaline again? Just to repeat that.
Well, get you some pH papers, but use bicarbonate, which is baking soda. Get some aluminum baking soda. Get a little wash out there. Maybe do like this. We have a form of bone and connective tissue. Very good to hold that in your mouth. Here's another thing you want to look at: parathyroid glands and pituitary. Pituitary. Talk a lot about that on our videos, how to identify pituitary problems if you don't look at the eye. But the parathyroids is how your body utilizes calcium. So if you have low parathyroid and you're not utilizing calcium, then you start seeing all types of, as acids take away bone and teeth, you can't put it back. And if you get pregnant and you have that, you get into what's called postpartum depression. Your baby starts your calcium out of your teeth, your bones, because you're the mama. And the baby, is for this to grow. So you're the victim. So understanding endocrinology a little bit, naturopathically, and understanding how we enhance parathyroids to rebuild bone tissue, get rid of the prolapsing of the bowels, the pocketed herniated diaphragms and stuff like that. The skin, the sagging breast, all this stuff like that. You want to tone and to tone and tighten, we're talking about connective tissue. We're going to parathyroid, and we're also going to what controls it, the pituitary.
Wow. Okay. I see a problem for people. And I would wonder what you would say about that when you have teeth issues. Okay. And that's going to make it difficult for people to do raw food, or they have dentures, or they have, partials, whatever. It's hard at that point. Once you've already gotten that point because of the acidity of your diet, what are your suggestions in those cases? That they blenderize it or smoothies or what?
You got gums and everything else. I wouldn't let anything stop me from a search down that road from Hellville to Wellville. And no matter what,
Okay.
I came in and out on that. So that's all I understood of your question. I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry. Basically, it was because your teeth are bad, it's hard for people to chew their food. So the raw diet becomes difficult for people.
The fruit. And if you have to, you can make like applesauces and stuff like fruit. But that's why you more specifically want to go to the fruit diet. You got to chew on a piece of dead animal meat? No. And grains, no. So you really want to purify and turn on and clean. Even if you have pain up in here, you want to get that out. You want to strengthen the gums. And if you still want to strengthen that. And if you're using glues and all that, if you can afford it, I do recommend the only because who wants to be using glues and things like that in their mouths? It's just, I'm into regeneration tissue. And all I have to say, if you've never seen our Morse TV, go to that and go to tissue regeneration and see what you can do on fruit and herbs. It's shocking.
Yeah, it is amazing. I have seen his channels, and he has answers questions for people no matter what their condition is. Yeah. And one of the things I'd like to ask you too is if your kidneys are in bad shape, are you able to regenerate? Obviously, probably yes, but you have to do follow the fruit and herb recommendations.
You cannot regenerate in the human body, hair, everything. If you want to spend the time doing it, it's a raw, especially when you're getting into regenerating genetic memories out of cells. I had a quad once that had extreme scoliosis to the right, big shelf here, and he had fractured his right femur 12 years before. And his right thigh was bulged out and his right leg was 2 inches shorter. Now, he couldn't go fruit, but he did all raw fruits and vegetable juices. The 11th month, his body pulled that back straight, and his old fractured leg, and it healed that way for 12 years or more, pulled itself straight and aligned it with the other leg its own.
Wow.
So when you start to see the human body realigning and fixing itself, it's amazing. And all you're doing is using herbs that nature provided for rebuilding tissue, not for diseases, using the proper diet that's made for man. And watch the magic.
Wow.
If you're suffering out there with anything, you want to get on a raw diet, number one. High blood pressure, skin problems, and all that. Now, if you have serious skin problems and you start detoxing, they can look a little worse, especially if you've been on steroids and all the suppressant agents, allopathic means. But let this breathe out. I show a lady that had psoriasis head to toe, Philippines, a young, beautiful lady in the Philippines, head to toe. Now she is Philippines. So it's just, you can turn yourself into your physical body into what you want. But you have to use proper chemistry to do it.
Okay. What about the consciousness aspect? Someone, the dot connector wants you to elaborate on that a little more. Did you hear me?
Elaborate on what?
On consciousness.
Consciousness. My favorite subject. Well, it depends which way you want to look. Now, if you want to look from the embodiment to something that's all the religions tell you it's some type of God or something, but that individualizes it. The Bible does talk about omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. Understand what that means. So when you start to look at this from here down, here up, so to speak, you've got the emotions, you got the mind. So let's say you learned how to leave your physical body. So you had an out of body, the next world or the astral worlds. All right. That's still, you have a body there already. Your astral body's right around you right now. Whenever you have emotional, that's not your physical body. That's your emotional body. That's a whole body into itself. Thought, that is your mental bodies and your mental bodies. That's not your physical body. Your physical body can't think. So mind does. So you have all these components to yourself, and those are not consciousness. It's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. It has no beginning, no end. It has no point. identification, all things becomes one. No limitation whatsoever. There's no you anymore. There is the biggest you you've ever experienced, the most alone state you ever can imagine, but it's not you. It's all things. It's hard to describe. The only way you can experience it, leave the mental worlds. In other words, stop.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about it, but thought is what attention takes it away into that thought. And so people live from one thought to another thought to another. So their consciousness, their ability to see and know things is taken. And we live from one thought. We live from gossip. We talk about the neighbor, talking about this, and we watch the news, and we start watching all this stuff. And those levels of all that is taking our attention away from who we really are. We are enjoying the movie, or we're playing the actor on the stage of creation. But when you wake up, you're purely conscious. You're not using thought to navigate. And it's scary sometimes. That's why there's a process to it, that you have no points of identification. Example, let's say that you've been driving down the same road to get to your house for 20 years, right? Now, when you wake up and you're living, everything is the now. Every moment is the now. There is no time. Everything is constantly in the now. When you drive down that same road, you'll for the first time every time you drive down it. You don't have a memory, so you can know how to protect it and whatever. You're living consciousness that everything is new in every second. So living in creation, you have to strike a little bit of a balance and control of the mind, control of your emotions, but at the same time, keep that consciousness in balance. Or
that's where this one woman. That's where this one woman we had on talked about a spiritual car wash, and it was fascinating because she's talking about self-inquiry and our thoughts in our mind are to get away from it, just exactly what you're saying, and she communicates with animals too, so it's pretty fascinating.
Cool. I love people like that. Well, yeah. I was an out-of-body traveler, so I'm traveling to all these different dimensions and seeing all these crystal cities and some landscapes where the plants are jewels, where you can go into these places and the plants are actually emanating every jewel. I mean, it's ironic as heck. But as I'm traveling and through the years, I had a voice come to me that says, "Who's the traveler?"
Ooh.
Who's the traveler? What do you mean? I'm seeking God. I'm traveling to. Where are you traveling to? You're already here. It's the illusion of your mind. And so I started looking from that. I realized, wait a minute, I've been chasing rainbows.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Somebody's asking this question. What about your environment, like mold, metals, 5G, bad electricity? How much can that harm you?
This is why I'm telling you all to get yourself hydrated and alkaline, because when you toxins or some of the other toxins we know of, some things like you have to hydrate to get it out. Your body doesn't want foreign metals and chemistry, so it will get rid of it unless, backing up, what your body gets rid of toxins, metals and things, because toxins are, so how does, not through the blood, there's no elimination attached to your blood. I consider the spleen, but the spleen is the blood dumps its waste into the lymphatic system. So if the blood dumps its waste into the lymphatic system, the cells dump its waste into the lymphatic system. Wouldn't you think the lymphatic system is a sewer system? So understanding the kidney connection, then you really start seeing all of this and how all that, and following the dots.
And what's really wonderful too is you've identified all the different herbs which actually support the different organs of the body, and you have them available in tinctures.
Well, I'm a plant. I lived in the woods by myself.
That's amazing. What an experience. Yeah.
Oh, the lone state is so, it's in the most intense state there is, because that alone, there's an old saying, that alone. So when you strip your physical body, strip your emotions away, you strip your mind away, who's left? And that's your pure awareness. Pure awareness has no beginning, no end. That's where you come from. The individualized piece of the one. And so we have our own journeys, we have all these things, but that's all feedback to the divine, because you're part of the divine. You're an individualized experience of the divine. All that you're experiencing, you are. There is no separation. So I'll put it this way: the seeker never finds God.
I heard the part, the seeker never finds. I heard
right.
The seeker never finds God, but I didn't hear the rest of it.
Seeker of God never finds God.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
You cannot find God seeking it. And if you use the word God, talking about an entity concept. So you can only be in the present moment, meaning you have to get rid of thought, emotions, all of it. Buddha did what? Jesus, all of them did that. And then they brought themselves into the present moment of now. And in that nowness, all life exists in its reality. And that's when you start seeing the answers and all this sort of thing like that. So the individual, you're waking up from that. And a lot of you are, it's time to wake up, and some of you are here to stay more and to go to other places and experience. I mean, all of you on these beautiful journeys. You got positive and negative on these journeys. Are not so good. We got a lot of negative influence right now.
Yeah.
But again, that's all positive and negative are actually the opposite sides of the same coin. Each play off of each other and end up bringing each other into a homeostasis. But real bad.
Oh, that's beautiful. By the way, we have someone in the audience who has already been to your site and has used some of your tinctures and speaks fairly highly of them. I've done that myself. I used, a number of your tinctures too,
Well,
and I
like
have
I
your
said,
all health herbal tea.
Well, I lived out in the woods, and the only body I had to talk to was the plants. So I got into communication type of things. I'll give you a female researcher that they want to take all bomb dogs out of the airports because they're only about 70% accurate. And they plants, because according to this professor, her plants are 100% accurate at determining bomb chemistry, and they will turn different colors depending on what chemistry they're. What? Cool. I love that power of everything around you. We just tear down. Man is just, I don't know, but you start hugging trees and plants because they love you. And, the fruit level of our life here is where the has to be. And when you get to the fruit level, you can have some salads, but when you get to the fruit, the magic is unbelievable.
That's awesome. And that's a wonderful thing for people to know, because they hear, we've been lied to about everything.
Look, all systems corrupt. Our medical system has no idea which end is up or down. You go to each has their own dictionary. They have their own verbiage, so no one else. You have to go to their schools to learn it.
Yeah.
Not how we operate.
Yeah.
We operate high school. You can't fail high school, because if you're not good on the subject, we're going to help you get good on that subject. Our education systems, our classes are a lot different, and when we put our whole nature path, it's going to be wholly different. You're going to have a little botany, as a naturopath, you're going to have a little understanding of how this world works and how to take a female that can't conceive all the way to conception to having the most beautiful baby on the planet. We've done that hundreds of times around the world. So we're hoping that that are suffering get on our website and learn how to quit suffering, how to fix things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Get them out.
I haven't seen any other website that is as specific in helping people with various problems. And I'm not just saying this, I'm serious. I've seen, the questions and the topics and all that you've covered. And it's amazing.
All about you.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah. It's all about each and every one of you. That's all you have is yourself. And
that's the truth.
Yeah, it's not selfish either, because you come here alone and you die alone. Now you might pull some friends or a lover or whatever around yourself in that.
But you don't leave with
But
a
in reality,
U-Haul either, do you? Uh, I say remind people of that. Someone is assuming that the same foods for alkalinity are good for consciousness. Would you agree with that?
oh, big time. I mean, that's part of the problems for you that practice out of body, very much in the now. You not be able, it depends what you, if you've got a tumor or whatever, get it out. But during that journey, you could, kind of self grounded, because fruit is so energetic. I have 80% of my diet's fruit right now, and it keeps me buzzed all the time. I can't take any more without and stay here on the planet.
Well,
It's hard.
now you live in a very warm climate, and you have a lot of fruit available. A lot of the fruit that's available in northern climates is, they pick it when it's not ripe, and
Horrible.
some stuff doesn't ripen on. Do you have any suggestions in that area, like frozen or dehydrated, or I mean, fresh is always the best. We know that.
I know. And you got dehydration, you got dried fruits like your dates or your figs and your raisins and stuff like that. I know it's tough. It's tough in Alaska. We have, I don't think there's a country we have a bunch of clients in. And I even have out in the past Alaska, out in the Siberian, whatever. And I asked this guy with a big tumor, I said, how are you going to get to town? He says, I got a town further away. I'm going, huh? And he's way up in Siberia, wherever he is. I'm going, what? Because when you see these things on National Geographic, it does not quite give everything. Over most of these hills and these yurts and all these things is a big ass city. So anyway, we're helping people all over the world that way, but it is trying to get out. And that is the problem. Once man realizes that's his sukkar, that's his manna, then he's going to start pyramid greenhouses. He's going to start these things to grow proper fruit. Remember, northern climates are hostile to the Homo sapiens. Living in a northern climate, I'm sorry, but you're not living in a climate that's conducive of the Homo sapien. We are tropical species. We don't have any fur to keep us warm. And we're frugal.
That's true.
This paleo consciousness is stupid.
Oh yeah, and what's the other one? What's that other one? The keto diet.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that one. God, it's insanity. As much as I really respect Dr. Oz and all that, took 12 people to the zoo, put them all on raw foods, and still prove to the world brings down your high blood pressure, everything else, and that's the way to go.
Yeah, well,
I see when he goes wrong when he's telling you look at somebody, but still he should be pushing that in his TV stuff. Go raw, go. They don't do that. Supplements.
No. And then when you look at some of the ingredients that are in the supplements as preservatives, how do you like that? Yeah.
Then when you supplement, though, you mess with the chemistry is a family. I use this analogy all the time. Arsenic is a distant cousin in the family of chemistry. It is a nutritive as a distant cousin. I bring him a sister like calcium and magnesium, he'll kill me. So chemistry is already hooked. We live in a created universe. It's already created. For an example, if you want a baby, where do we get to build your baby from? Something has to give up their atoms. So this is why you have a world of birth, life, and atom exchanges constantly. You can't just reach out and grab fresh atoms out of nowhere because it's already created universe. So you have this atoms, but you also see the destruction of things as well as you see the building of things. The rainforest being torn down. Look at our population. Look at how we're spending. So you have to start thinking a little more about atoms and how we do that. But man, they're spiritually and thinking about how the universe works that way.
Well, you know what?
And you just have so many narcissistic things that
oh my God, yes.
A little essay sketch going on to correct that.
What about someone's asking, what's your view on nuts and homemade nut milks?
Generally as a rule, I would say that's a great supplement. Nuts have a hard shell on them for a reason. And I even say that with the coconut. If you had to break off, and I'll give an example, walnuts, where I come from, you just put a bunch of walnuts in your car over them. But if you had to hand peel a walnut, you'd only do one and you'd be okay. So nuts are very high proteins. And I can only tell you, pain, you do not want to do protein or you'll never get out of pain. Seeds and anything that's higher in amino acids that way. And nuts are nutritive. There's no. But I showed a medical doctor one day. He came to a class of mine. Even if the right kidney was really hurting. And as a medical doctor, he ran a hospital in San Diego. And I put him on the herbs. I put him on the fruits at the class. Second day, almost gone. Third day, no pain. Fourth day, no pain. Fifth day, the girls are doing what a raw food kitchen. What would your look like if you were strictly a raw foodist? Would you have an oven? What would you have? Juicers? What would? So we were serving a meatloaf made by Giuliano. It's nuts and vegetables. So I said, hey, doc, now this doc was out of pain, feeling good. So I said, try this. One bite. This is so good. Second bite. Oh God, what's that? I said, that's why you never give protein when you're highly acidic. You're putting acid against acid. Acid against acid brings nothing but more serious problems. Chemotherapy, an acid body, destroys it.
Wow. Yeah. On college, I saw them. I used to work at the Denver VA many years ago, and I saw chemo going to patients, and I'm going, oh my God, can they not tell that this
the VA
isn't working?
The VA period. I'm an Air Force vet, but I would never go to the VA. Because I don't go to hospitals. You fix yourself when you learn.
Yeah, exactly. I don't go.
I go to the hospital. It's only because of kidney stone and I need a pain med.
I would go the only time I would go is if I was in a car accident and had to be.
Yeah, if you need to get sewed up or something.
Yeah.
If you're breaking down everything, how do you turn that around? Because I spent a lot of years in ER. A lot of years. My specialty was cardiac work, but realistically, you can fix these and things like this. But heart attack, strokes, there's plenty of use as a helper to pull someone out of that. Someone out of a heart attack, flatline zero, with just their left and right out in the hospital. And cardiologist and everybody watching. I'm going, watch this. I didn't know it worked. That was the first time I've ever done it 2 other times. And so there's ways to stimulate neurological function in else, but you just got to learn them. They're not called. And how you can save someone and then apply proper nutrition and energy to them and then pull them out of it. I pulled a young lad, 44, that in the hospital one morning, into ICU. I went back to visit him at noon to see how he was doing, if he stayed and all that. And you know what he was eating? In ICU, intensive care unit, eating a barbecued beef sandwich rice. Post few hours MI, myocardial infarction, heart attack. And so he died that afternoon.
Oh, wow.
It killed him. And this is part of the problem of life and health. You got to understand chemistry, medical people. You've got to understand the essential issues of chemistry and the lymphatic system. You don't understand the lymphatic system, you don't understand anything. You don't know where symptoms come from. You don't know where anything. It's disease world. And once you learn the sewer system of the body and what acids do to you, you start to realize, oh my God, all these symptoms are acidosis. Some alkalosis, but mostly acidosis. Oh my God. And I can fix them all.
Wow. And you have a wonderful educational site for people to go to where they can learn about just about any condition you can imagine, because you've been in business for doing this for a very long time. And you've kept track of it all, and you've seen it all, and you know how to fix it. And that's beautiful. And I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome.
And I hope we might be able to do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
It
I
was
love helping people. I love it.
That's
When you're
fantastic.
suffering, because I hate people suffering. And if you don't want to suffer, let me help you get it. And it's a little self-discipline. I won't tell you it won't be, but there's ways to work that and develop your self-discipline. And so, not difficult when you're, you can do it. And each and every one of you can do it. You that can't do anything. You can do anything you want. You just got to want to do it.
That is so true. And what I would love to do, if we can talk about it sometime, maybe do this once a month or something like that, and do questions and answers. And it will bring more people to your site and my site, and we can educate people and tell them the real truth about health and wellness.
And of course, there's other that we can't talk about here.
Yeah, exactly. But at some point, what we can do too, to cover that, is we can go on only the uncensored programs, which I hate to have to do in America, but
Rumble, and we got our own TV platform now, and Telegraph and stuff like that. It's sad.
Yeah, it is.
Facebook, it really is. And all these people have to be that way, but it's not the truth of who you're dealing with. And so you're dealing with these monsters that want to suppress. And part of the One World Order, obviously, I don't even know if they know the degree that these guys are serious. I've been studying them for 25, 30 years. On the World Bank, I sued the World Bank, and so I
did.
Yeah, I took them, and because the IRS has been misapplying the tax laws in America forever. And the problem is, you sue the World Bank. You know why? They have a treaty with the United States, and I suppose with all the other countries. A treaty in the United States supersedes the Constitution and law. Oh yeah, I tell you, I had to study law for a lot of years too.
To us about everything. Everything.
Yeah, I know, but you know, you survive on this. You want to be the knower. You don't want to. That's why I try to feed you everything that I've been into for years, getting up there so you don't fall into these same holes that's going on there.
Yes, I've been there. I'm improving, and I consider myself a work in progress, because all these changes, are something new to us. We were programmed in certain ways that were not in our best interests, in, whether it be body, mind, or spirit. We got slammed in all areas with,
all this comes from the mental, emotional. The battle really isn't here in the physical. The battle is in the universal mind. The causal worlds. That's where the real battle. We're just seeing the effect of them. This physical world, very, very minor, very, very chemical. But when you get into higher mental worlds and you get into the astral worlds, you have a lot more energy, a lot more power, flexibility, and a lot more movement by thought. So you get into a lot of areas that people are used to putting all their awareness physically. Every one of you are so much beautiful, magnificent beings in some of these other bodies. But these limited genetic physical bodies, the beauty of all this is that you can fit and enhance your spirituality, become awake, and just really turn the experience of life and levels that you never imagined exist.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. You're seeing the 1,000-petal lotus. I used to take my students to the 1,000-petal lotus out of body. The 1,000-petal lotus is the world, and it's an energy focus, this and the astral worlds. Every color you can imagine, or body see it. An incredible sight. It's fun to do out-of-body traveling. Remember who's the traveler.
Exactly. And they said raw vegan, but we don't really want to call it vegan. We'll call it frugivore.
Veganism, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Turn this off.
I'm going to want to have you again. So thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Goodbye, everybody. I love you all.
Yes. And please go to Dr. Morse's site. He's got so much, there's a lot of free information there, and you will learn a great deal. So let's end it then. And whoops, wrong. Oops. Sorry about that.
We'll stay. We'll stay. standing tall and standing strong, defiance and looking on, no way down from our past we climb, we'll push on while there's still time. So fly, watch our backs through the night, don't look down, yeah, we'll take
Thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm extremely grateful for anyone who helps to support the program. Thank you so much. I try to bring the best guests ever. We had a little connectivity problem, and sometimes Dr. Morse was hard to hear. But again, I would encourage you to go to his website and look for his free information. There's a lot of it there. He is unique among health practitioners, and you can learn a great deal from him in for body, mind, and health. So thank you. Please help support my program so I can keep bringing wonderful people like Dr. Morris to the show. And he also was very similar in many ways to Dr. Young earlier this week. It's unfortunate that some of the beginning of the program was missed, but that was due to I don't know. I had checked to see that everything was turned on. It appeared to be all turned on, but then when we started, apparently Facebook and YouTube and Twitter were not turned on. And I need to remember to always double check that, because I checked it the first time and it was okay. Nonetheless, again, thank you very much. And we'll see you again with more exciting and wonderful guests who will help you learn the truth on this planet, who has fed us mostly lies. And so we're getting to the truth of the matter. So thank you so much. I'll see you again soon. Bye.